Good afternoon, anti-novelists and friends. Welcome to this episode of, I don't even know, Zettelkasten with me. So, I've just finished and turned in for publication the Anti-Novelist Monthly Newsletter number 4, which is for May 2026. It's all tidied up. All of the things that were flagged by my editor have been addressed, so this issue is put to bed. So, what I wanted to do is show you a little bit of the process for when a project is finished. What does it then look like as you transition from one Zettelkasten work project to another? So, that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to put these things away. I'm just starting a super secret project. Obviously it's not secret if I tell you, because you guys are my digital family. So I am looking at auditing a course on literary theory. So more on that later. I'm not ready quite yet to talk about that, but yeah, one of the goals and one of the functions that I see for myself is helping you guys by continuing my own scholarship and education in the field of literary theory and fiction writing. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So, you know from my previous videos, the Anti-Novelist Monthly box. This is the equivalent to a plot box for fiction, but it's got tabs, unlabeled tabs. There's Donna Tartt and David Foster Wallace, Aunt Donna and Uncle David. They're two of my literary heroes. And they sit in my notebox and judge me and remind me to get my work done. So it has blank tabs in it. Those represent sections in each newsletter. So as I'm just thinking through what I want to include, I can drop stuff behind those blank tabs and it just separates idea from idea. So what I want to do today is I need to go through, I need to finish processing the texts that I used when I wrote issue 4, because often you can see I leave my note cards in my texts as I'm working with them. That's just a workflow that works for me. So I need to pull all of those out. I need to index those and add them to my Zettelkasten index, which if you've been around for a while, you know. I do my indexing in a Happy Planner with tabs that have been punched to fit into the Happy Planner. So alphabetized A through Z, and everything that I index goes on a single page, because I like to see a lot of real estate in my index. The traditional Lumen or Shapirian Zettelkasten, your cards are filed alphabetically in an index, and it's all note cards. So anyway, I just like having mine in a notebook. So here we go. I'm just going to work for a little while. I need to lay out all of the cards I used to write issue 4. I need to make sure that they are properly addressed. I need to make sure that those addresses are keyworded in my index so that I can find those ideas later. And then the whole batch needs to go and get filed in my main box of my Zettelkasten under 1104, which is the number for this issue. So I am just going to work through this for a little bit, and you can hang out along with me while I do it. You'll notice on some of these, they have just a green highlighter kind of hash mark through the title on the card. That tells me that card was used as a reference or as a item in a section in the newsletter, so I know at a glance what's been used and what has not, just in case you're wondering. brass duck. My little brass duck clip always holds things that I might want to use in my introduction. I begin every issue with an introductory quote that appears down at the bottom of the issue. It's kind of a gateway into the material that appears in the issue. So these are just ideas that I keep as good opening quotes. So that's what that is. If you can hear my rooster crowing outside the window, Fizzle is announcing to the world hello. These are not used. You can see those are numbered 1105. Those will go into issue 5, which I will start writing next week on Monday. So I'm going to leave those because that is yet to be used. There's some more 1105 material. So we'll leave that. Pull out 1104. Oh wait. These did not get used. I originally intended to use focalization in 1104, but I didn't. So I've added myself reminders that these will go into issue 5 as well. So those go back in the box. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm checking to be sure that I have the author's name and the page number down here at the bottom. That way I can find my way back to these original resources if I need to get back to the source. So I'm checking, making sure I've got my sources on the bottom, and they can go in the box. That is yet to be used in 1105, so it's going to stay in the book. As a reminder, I need to go back to that text. That's my bib card. I'm going to leave that in the front for right now because I'm working pretty heavily with this book. That is a bib card that is completely out of place. It will need to be filed in the bib box. Here's my bib card hanging out in the front. Blank card is just a marker because I'm only on page 171 of reading this text, so still got a ways to go, so we'll leave that one out. To be read, bib card hanging out in the front. You'll notice most of my bib cards do not have notes on the back. Normally, when you process a text, you would be putting the page number and a short summary of what's on that page so that with just your bib card, you can remember what all you found that was important in that book. I am not doing that because I am going straight from text to bib card to writing. So in my newsletter production, I do depart from the standard way that you should build a bib card, which is basically the card catalog information on the front, author, title, etc., and then page numbers with notes on the back. Not using that myself, because I'm just a rebel that way. Not ready to take that one out yet. Sometimes I create a main card as a placeholder that reminds me that I need to go back to that subject where I found it in the book and process that section. So this is just a reminder to pick this up where I left off. Same here. Now you'll notice that one's labeled 1104. I know I did not use that in 1104. So that's when I would simply erase that, and I will update that card address when it actually gets used, which will probably be in issue 6, because issue 5 is pretty well planned out. Same for these. These did not get used. So I'm just taking those addresses off, and I will update them later. And same here. So these cards are just reminding me that I still have homework to do in this book. All right, now let's get to indexing. Okay, so now I've just found in the back of my writing box some of the cards I used for issue number 3. Shame on me. Those should already be filed as main cards over in my main box of my Zettelkasten, but they did not get filed. So I'm going to check, make sure that they have been addressed, which all of these have been addressed. Cool. So I can drop those into the main box under 1103. I can drop all of these in under 1104. And now that leaves me with my 1105s. I'm going to go ahead, since I've got my index out, I'm going to add the things that I know that are going into issue 5. Normally I would wait and do this until after I write the issue, but I have a pretty firm idea of what all is going to be included. So the things that I know for certain, I can go ahead and index now. Okay, now here is an interesting problem. I already have a packet of cards, a collection or a pool, if you will, on narrative distance and how it functions in a story. And you can see these have been addressed 1160. Well, that doesn't have to be a problem, because then what I do, I'm going to go to N for narrative distance in my index, and I'm going to see what I have there. I've got narrative studies, bingo, narrative distance. All right, so I have one entry, 1403, which points me back to the 1400s. What would that be? That would be literary theory. So what I'm going to do, since I already have narrative distance in here, and I already have a section over in my main box, I'm going to point to 1160 so that when I come here and I see narrative distance and I see, oh, I've got research in 1403, I'm going to make a note to also look at 1160 because these cards are already addressed there and I don't want to change them. So I'm just going to put C1160 right after the narrative distance entry, and that tells me there's another place to look for those. Easy peasy. Some hiding in there, look out. Ooh, structuralism. These are labeled 1105, but I don't know that they're actually going to get used in that issue, so I'm just going to tuck them. Put myself a blank tab so that I know the stuff behind that tab's going in. I'm just going to tuck these up front as a reminder to decide if those go into issue 5. We've already labeled our narrative distance cards, so those are prepped to go into 5. And the only text we have left is Booth's Rhetoric of Fiction. I am only on page 171 of the full close read of this text. So I'm not going to process anything that's in this yet until I finish reading it, and then I'll go back and index and process the rest of those cards. So that is where we are. I've gone from all of the text and cards used in issue 4. I've got those all queued up to be filed over in the main box. Everything else has already been filed, so I'm in good shape. The last thing that I do is I go to my traveler's notebook, which is where I keep my notes. I have a section in here that is all about my monthly newsletter, and I just have an index of how many words are in each newsletter, how long it took to write, how many note cards I used, which is what I create the production notes from that are in the newsletter, so you guys see that too. And then I've already started a page for issue number 5, and I've already made a note about a text that I definitely want to use. So I'm just going to make myself a note that I completed processing number 4, and I'm going to add an arrow, and I'm going to say number 5, and I'm going to put it. So I'm just reminding myself that I've completely put issue 4 to bed. Now I'm ready to start on issue 5, and I'm going to reference these texts. I've already listed Nellis. I want to use Morrison. I want to use Scholes. I want to use Richardson. And Herman and Gardner. So in this way, I just keep a list of the author's texts that I most likely want to be sure and include in my writing. And that's not just for my newsletter, that's for everything, because I read a lot and I work a lot with different texts for reference. And sometimes a book gets mislaid. Like, I'm sitting here at this desk working. Well, there's another desk over there, which is where I normally sit and film my videos, that has the big cabinet behind me. You guys may recognize that. Well, if a book gets mislaid over there and I'm sitting here working and I'm lining out what I want to include, making my arguments, building out the support for those arguments, if that text is out of sight, I may forget to use one. And that really hacks me off, because it means I'm creating work for my future self. Well, eventually that future is going to come, and I'm going to have to deal with whatever I forgot. So when I do this scrub and I have finished whatever project I was working on, and my cards are filed, everything is indexed, I'm good to go, I just go to my journal, I make a list of all of those authors. That way, when I actually sit down to start writing, I can look at that list and I know, okay, where is that book? There's a book on the list that is not here for me to work from. I can go find it. It's just one little thing that helps me make sure I have everything at hand when I sit down to write. Because number one, my memory is not fantastic, and I will have a squirrel moment, I will go off on a tangent, and then 2 hours into the writing, I will remember, oh crap, I wanted to reference so-and-so, and it's not here, and then I have to go find it. So just those kinds of things that help me. If I don't have a note card on it that's telling me, my backup is that I have my list so that I can always reference what I want to go back to. So I think that is everything I have to share today. Now that this is done, I'm going to set all this aside. I'm going to start working on my course, where I'm breaking down 2 novels into a Zettelkasten as a reader to help you learn better as a fiction writer how to process a novel, so that you can use either its structure, its literary devices, just whatever components that you liked about it, you can capture those and have them saved in your Zettelkasten. That way, 2 years from now, when you're thinking about, I would really like to use some symbology here, you can go to S for symbols in your Zettelkasten and look at all the ones you captured, and maybe something will spark an idea. It's just a super handy way to rely on the shoulders of the giants that have come before us by thoroughly, closely reading and indexing so that you have them safe in your Zettelkasten. So I'm going to go back to work on that. In the meantime, take care, and I will see you next time.